Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Starlight Beacon Transmissions Live. This is episode number 91, and this is our post Star Wars Celebration Depression, Mandalorian Depression episode. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what we're doing here. My name is Eric Mitchell. I am your host, and joining me tonight, again for this season of The Mandalorian, and for more Star Wars Celebration news, it's my good friend Allie Andrews from the Knights of Ren podcast. Allie, how are you?
Yay. I'm doing great. I'm turning 22 tomorrow, so I'm in good spirits.
What?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully, so what do you have planned for tomorrow for your birthday extravaganza?
Nothing very elaborate, honestly. But I
No?
am just getting to hang out with a bunch of friends, and is like one of the rare times that I gotta hang out with them and do stuff other than studying or homework. So, like, you know what?
Nice.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, why not,
Yeah.
right? Why not?
Right.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, we are going to get into some news here from Celebration, as well as we're going to talk about two episodes of The Mandalorian because we didn't really talk about the previous one before this one, so we have two to talk about there. But before we do that, just a couple of quick announcements. First off, no live show on May 6th, as we are going to be out of town doing some Star Wars related stuff, though. So that's all I can say about that. And the next thing that I have to say is um, I posted this in our Discord server, and I also posted this on Twitter. But if you have not seen this news yet, we did get into Awesome Con. We are doing a High Republic celebration panel at Awesome Con. Yay! in uh, in June, it is going to be myself, Bria Lavorgna, and then Justina Ireland is also going to be joining us as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Don't know what day during the con yet, but hopefully, well, we'll know soon, you know. So there is that. So speaking of cons, okay, there was a tiny little one that happened last week, right? Um I believe was it Star Trek Las Vegas that happened last week? It was the Star Trek cruise. Yes, yes, yes. The Star Trek cruise happened last week. No, of course, it was Celebration London happened, or Celebration Europe, I should say. Um, and Ali, did you? Quick recap because we did recap the first 2 days last week. How do you feel about the announcements that they had at Celebration? Also, like the Ray movie announcement, the Filoni movie announcement, the Mangold movie,
Just everything.
just
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all super exciting. I'm really excited for all of it, especially like getting more movies finally is super exciting.
Hmm.
I don't think anyone honestly fully expected that to happen out of
Yeah.
everything. So, um it was weird though. Like honestly, I just was there even a
Excuse me. I'm
convention? I don't even
sorry.
think there was a convention because by the time I woke up, it was already like 6 p.m. there or something, and I was just like scrolling on Twitter, like, oh yeah, that happened and that happened and that
Yeah.
happened. Cool.
The hardest part about it is that time difference.
Exactly,
It
right?
really is. Like, are you familiar? You're familiar with Blue Milk Mama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's West Coast in Canada, and she was like, "Yeah, I was up at like 3, 4 in the morning for the live stream," and then like I woke up early twice for the live stream,
Mhm.
and then I said to myself, You know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna wake up early.
Right?
I'm gonna, I'll wake up when I wake up, and I'll check Twitter, and
Mhm.
you know,
Like, maybe if they actually still stream the main panels, I would stay up till, like, 4 a.m. in the morning, but they
yeah, yeah.
don't do that, so
Dark Smack is here. Amanda's here. Hey guys. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But
yeah.
you know what's really gonna be difficult is Celebration Japan, because that live stream is gonna be like in the middle of the night.
I'm still in denial. I'm ignoring the fact that I'm fresh out of college and probably can't do it financially. I'm like, "Oh, I'll be able to do it. Yeah, totally. Uh-huh." No.
Well, a lot of us were hoping for Orlando
Yeah, exactly, right.
for it, because
Mhm.
normally, yeah, 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 Steven, we're talking about Celebration. Normally it's like Orlando, then somewhere in the middle of the country, like Chicago or Indy or something like that, and then it's Anaheim, and then it's Europe, but it
Mhm,
hasn't been Japan for a number of years. So I
mhm.
guess they're finally like, yeah, yeah, okay. Like,
I mean, like, Star Wars has a global market, and we have to recognize that, and, like, I am definitely happy that they're, like, going all over the world and giving those people who do live further away that same opportunity, but I think,
oh
like,
yeah.
doing 2 back to back that are like, so far away does make it a bit difficult,
Oh yeah.
financially to manage, but, like, I definitely understand, like, why they're trying to still spread things out, so
Yeah.
I'm
And
happy
this
for the people that can go, but it's sad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and for those that are planning on going, I hope that you're able to go. I hope it's an amazing time. I'm probably not going to hit a celebration until it's back in the States.
Yeah,
I mean, as much as my wife and I would love to go to Japan,
right.
it's not in the cards. you know.
Yeah,
Steven said, "Yeah, we just woke up when we wake up and just watch the stream at a delay." Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like, um so let's talk about a couple of the things here. Um we also did get we got some more information on Ahsoka. We saw Lars
yeah.
Mikkelsen was joining as Grand Admiral Thrawn, and then of course people were leaking the photo from the trailer of Mickelson as Thrawn,
Yeah.
and like I was just saying to myself, like I just want to wait to see what he looks like in a trailer that I can watch that isn't grainy, you know?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So your thoughts on them bringing Mickelson in as Thrawn?
I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it, honestly. Like, I'm
Okay.
excited, but
Yeah.
I think for me, like, I don't know. I'm more caught up in the Sabine stuff still. I'm
Hmm.
really sad about it. I love Natasha's great, but I think that's where most of my focus is. So I'm all the other casting stuff, I'm like, okay, but all my energy just goes
Yeah.
towards Sabine things. I still feel so bad for Tia. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was really hoping that it was going to be her.
yeah.
And I was hoping for Vanessa Marshall as Hera too,
Right.
because Hera is not like in her 30s, she's kind of in her 40s
Yeah. Yeah.
by the time that the war is over. Amanda says one of the best things was watching some of the live reactions from the Japanese fans
Oh, yeah.
at the announcement. It was so heartwarming. Yeah, exactly. Like
Exactly.
Star Wars fans around the world, this is a global thing, and it's
Right.
about time that they did take it to a global level.
Right.
Absolutely. So we're just bummed that it's not in the States. That's all. But I have a feeling 2025, that's going to be the celebration for Daisy's movie. I think her movie is the first one in the
Yeah.
pipeline.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, out of the other two between Mangold and Filoni's is almost a guarantee,
Yeah.
because that's going to be the series finale of The Mandalorian,
Mhm. Right.
essentially. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. While also being an adaptation of Heir to the Empire, I guess. Apparently.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, So let's move on here. We did get a trailer for Young Jedi Adventures. I don't know if you're excited about that show or not.
Eh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is it are you starting to feel the same overwhelming capitalism of Grogu capitalism that you are with Nubs now?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Nubs Nation, however, yeah, he's going to be plastered on everything now.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Steven confirms it is pretty much going to be the series finale for Filoni or for Mando.
Which is really, like, interesting that they're actually doing, like, a more finalized thing based on our previous discussions. That's interesting that they're
Yeah.
gonna wrap it up in some form. Yeah,
But Kennedy and Filoni and Favreau all said like it's still like at least 5 years out
right.
for
True, exactly.
for
So,
that
but
movie. So
still, was not expecting any kind of ending at all,
yeah, yeah,
honestly.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, like it makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time because there are so many stories that you can go with the
Mm,
Mandalorians, and honestly, like I feel like we kind of need that Rangers of the New Republic spinoff now, like to really
mm,
like develop this movie. But I know that that has been, um, shrouded
yeah,
in darkness due to some person's
yes.
comments. Steven also says, I think the kids stuff is great because it gets newer generations into Star Wars. Exactly.
Exactly. We talked about that last time a lot when I was here,
Hmm.
like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I think that's the big thing. We have to really acknowledge the newer fans, especially like when it comes to Celebration and everything. Like there's so much for all these Star Wars fans, but remember, it's first and foremost for kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Even though
honestly, like,
go ahead.
I get, like, emotional when I walk by, like, the little kids' activities at Celebration, like, on the show floor, like,
Hmm.
I get emotional seeing that because I'm like, "Oh, it's, like, all these little Star Wars fans, it's so cute," and yeah, it
Hmm.
makes me really happy.
Because my son watches Star Wars, but really because we have to. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Plus the all of us are kids at heart too. That's true. That's true.
Right, right.
Um so like I've never been to a celebration, but I have seen like kids programming at various conventions and everything. And there are like Star Wars programs for kids at conventions. And
Yes.
it's fantastic. Like to see the kids get excited. Um I believe it was Awesome Con last year where they actually had like kids learning how to use the Force on the kids
Yes.
stage, which
Yeah.
was huh? Yeah, and it's great. Like they were just like teaching them how to like force push and stuff like that, and that's what it's all about. So like if kids can be inspired by characters like Nubs and all of these young Jedi Adventures characters, that's awesome.
Right.
And we get Nubs Vector toys, and how can you not love Vectors?
Yeah.
And you know what, Amanda? Some of the kids' programming looks so much fun at cons, and I wish like adults could do it too. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So my wife actually just brought up a point at Baltimore Comic Con a couple of like 5 years ago or something like that. They had a kids dance party.
Yeah.
It was like two aisles over, and like the kids were just loving it. They had it at Awesome Con too. Yeah. So, yeah, so kids, but celebration. Back to celebration and these announcements. We did get I mean, Clone Wars, a kids show, was gut wrenching. Clone Wars was gut wrenching,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
especially towards the end.
Right.
Yeah. um, Pickle is knocking stuff off of the off of the table. So yes, we're going to talk about Bad Batch real quick here. Bad Batch is getting a third and final season. Um, okay, Allie, Allie,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
is Tech dead?
I didn't believe it until I saw a Star Wars post that one TikTok. And then I was in denial until I saw like the funeral TikTok of Tech's funeral on their TikTok. I was like, what the heck, Star Wars? What
Yeah.
was that?
Yes, Bad Batch is very gut wrenching. Absolutely. So because they showed a teaser at Celebration, but I didn't really hear much about it. We're
Yeah,
getting a clone rebellion in this third season, right?
I'd assume so. I feel like that's what they've been building to, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it feels like it almost makes sense for them to do it,
yeah.
especially with how pissed off the batch is right now.
Right? Yeah.
Also, we can blame Tech's death on Saw Gerrera.
Yep, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Hmm.
appreciate people actually say it.
No, Saw Gerrera killed Tech. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's Saw
Steve,
Gerrera apologists that are still like, no, it's not his fault. You can't blame him. And I'm like, okay, sure.
he's the idiot who planted the bombs.
Exactly. Thank you.
So Jennifer and Brad, the writers of the Bad Batch, if you're watching, Saw Gerrera is the villain of the Bad Batch. I thought it was going to happen in season 2. Yeah, I thought the Clone Rebellion was going to happen this past season too. Like
Same.
they were
I,
starting
I
to
was
build
talking about
it.
it on Nights of Ren, like during like season 1. I think we were talking about like a clone rebellion. Like we were expecting it a lot sooner than it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's really going to be sad is that we know the Clone Rebellion isn't going to work. I know, but still.
Exactly. Right. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and Steven also brings a point, not just planting those bombs, but going through with those bombs too. So yes, Saw Gerrera is an enemy of the Republic.
Yes.
Yes. You know what? Crosshair should have killed him when he had the chance.
Oh my god.
I know he survives because of Rogue One and Andor, but still.
Right. Right.
I hate
I
Saw
mean,
Gerrera now.
wouldn't like Jin be dead though if they Crosshair killed Saw Gerrera? I don't know. Like, no,
I don't know. Would Tech
I'm-
still be dead if Crosshair had killed Saw Gerrera?
well, Tech would be alive, but people in Rogue One probably wouldn't be alive.
No. Bor Gullet would have killed Bodhi Rook.
Oh, exactly. Right. Right. Yeah.
Poor Bor Gullet. So we did get confirmation for that. We also got confirmation of Tales of the Jedi season 2 coming. Which season 1 for the most part was good. I didn't really like the Ahsoka episodes that much. I really enjoyed the Count Dooku ones. How did you feel about Tales of the Jedi?
I kind of feel a similar way. I feel like most people would honestly say they feel that way about Tales of the Jedi. But I honestly, I enjoyed it overall. Like,
Yeah.
but like you said, if any of the episodes were weaker, I'd definitely say, yeah, the Ahsoka ones are probably those episodes.
Yeah. Amanda says everyone in Rogue One would have died at Jeddah. Yeah, that's
Exactly,
true.
right?
That is true.
Jin probably would have already been dead. Like everyone would have died. Like, yeah, no, it just would not have.
Yeah.
No. So
Yeah.
like if we look at it that way, Tech had to die so the rest of the galaxy could live, I guess.
Tech had to die so that Cassie and Andor could get killed by the Death Star.
No, that's even worse. Don't say it like that. Oh my god, why?
You know what? I can't reach it. I was gonna pick up my my Anton Merrick and be like, Tech died so that this guy could fight the Battle of Jeddah just to die. Or the Battle of Scarif just to die.
Yeah. Saw Gerrera makes me tired. He made me tired in Rebels too. Saw Gerrera just makes me tired. I don't know.
Saw Gerrera is a very tiring character. He really is. Yeah, I agree. People are like, "What the hell are we talking about?" Uh, anyway, so yes, we did get that confirmation. We also did get a look at Visions Volume 2, which the first volume was incredible. This
Yes.
volume looks even better.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite bit is still the one of the Wookiee with the plush, and he tears the arms off of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I was talking about the season 2 trailer. Yeah, it's okay. But yes, Tatooine Rhapsody is one of the best in Star Wars Visions Volume 1.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. His long speeches about freedom and lies, Saw can go on and on. I don't want Saw to go on and on.
Oh gosh.
And you know what? You know what? Going back to Saw Gerrera real quick.
Oh my god.
you know, you know, he's going to get at least a 5-minute monologue in
Oh,
Andor season 2.
of course he is, right? Like
Yeah. Everybody else got 5-minute monologues. Saw Gerrera is going to get a 5-minute monologue. I want to make that saber mic. Yes, the saber mic from Tatooine Rhapsody is amazing.
yes.
Um, so with Visions Volume 2, we have more studios throughout the world. We have like Chilean studios, British studios, Indian studios. I think that's really cool because it goes back to what we said earlier with Star Wars is truly a global
Exactly.
experience.
Right.
And to see these different interpretations and these different stories, it's what makes it so unique and so much fun. And it's great because they're short. They're like what, 12-minute episodes maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Um okay, let's see here. What else? I should have wrote a list. Um yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, the High Republic had a lot of stuff. We saw Vernestra Rose coming to live
Oh my
action
god,
in The
yeah.
Acolyte.
Yes.
Um, I take it you're not a Vernestra Rose fan, are you?
What? Who said that? Excuse me? Excuse me? You're not Miss Grammy here. Like, A Test of Courage is like my favorite book. Who are you? No.
I had to. I had to. I had
Okay,
to see what your reaction was
that's
going to be.
fine. Okay.
No, A Test of Courage is a great book, and Vernestra is a great character. Um, One of the questions that I wanted to ask or want to ask the High Republic writers um, is Emery going to rebuild the noodle cart that got destroyed in Port Halip?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very important question.
it is. It is. There was another important question that Luna and I asked on one of the live shows one time, and that is, did Starlight Beacon have a TGI Fridays or the equivalent of it, where it's just like Jedi memorabilia like on the wall?
Oh my
Just-
god.
um, how do you feel about the Acolyte? And I think that's gonna hit just as hard as Andor did,
Oh
honestly.
yeah, I am super pumped for it, especially obviously now that Vanessa's in it, like I was of course excited before that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and just like getting series like that just really feel like they're gonna really branch out and push some boundaries and stuff. And I am just super excited to see where that goes. And like, cause like I love Mandalorian history and I love that kind of stuff, but it's very much more grounded in like the kind of place we've been circulating for a lot of. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see something branch out a bit more like the High Republic did. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm still not. Uh, I still don't know how I feel about it being pitched as Frozen meets Kill Bill.
That's
Um,
That's fair.
but I am so excited for this
Yeah.
show. Like I love this. I really hope like they go far with this show, like multiple seasons.
Mhm.
Um, and I want to see Plagueis as the ultimate bad guy in this.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Honestly, I really feel like when it comes to the High Republic, all roads lead to Plagueis. Eventually, all roads lead to Plagueis.
Yeah.
Um, and we get Jonas Suotomo as a Wookiee Jedi,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Wookiee Jedi Master, which is really cool. So
Except I felt like it was erasure of other no, nothing against him. Nothing against him, but he like acted like this was a new thing, and I'm like, what about Gungi and Buryaga? Excuse me, you're not the first one.
exactly.
Another Wookiee Jedi. Let's not erase them.
Amanda says if they mention Darth Bane, I'll be happy. Well, I mean, Bane is canon because he showed up in the Clone Wars.
Exactly. Right.
So Bane is canon, so you can do Bane.
Right.
Especially like if they talk about the rule of two within this show too. I could really see them like bringing Darth Bane into that. Um, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of the other, or well, on the other show that they were talking about with Skeleton Crew, Stranger Things in Space. That's what they said. Uh, your thoughts on sexy Dumbledore coming to Star Wars?
I don't know. No, honestly, out of everything, Skeleton Crew is the thing I heard the least about, so I don't really have a way to form an opinion, I'll be honest. So,
I get it.
yeah.
I get it. I mean, it looks well. I mean, it sounds fun, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it could be a lot of fun, but I think Ahsoka is really going to shadow that show.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and then Visions is going to shadow that show too. Like honestly.
Yeah.
But we get Ahsoka in August. We'll get Skeleton Crew probably around the holidays, like they did with Book of Boba Fett.
Mhm.
That's one thing that we didn't hear about a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, or what would that be, like Mandalorian 3.5 at that point?
Oh God, no.
Book of Boba Fett
I
season
mean,
2 would be like Mando 3.5. You don't know. Yeah.
different point in the timeline, but I am excited that Fennec's coming back to Bad Batch, so at least we get more Fennec, like regardless of
Yeah. We are getting Fennec in Bad Batch season 3. I'm happy about that because yes. Um oh man, maybe she'll get another showdown with Cad Bane. That would be great.
Yeah.
But you know what? So back to the Book of Boba Fett real quick.
Yeah.
She should have been the one to kill Cad Bane.
Yeah.
I wanted Cad Bane to last longer too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Cad Bane's the big bad, but we're not going to develop him at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was celebration stuff. Um, a lot of High Republic news, which is great. It shows that they're doubling down on that. And we're going to be getting more stories told in that era. Uh, I feel like the acolyte, going to be like Andor. It will be different and possibly divisive, but will be a good story. Yeah, I think the acolyte is just it's going to hit hard like Andor did. It's going to be very
Mm.
mature for what it is. And you know what? I'm good. I feel great with dark and gritty Star Wars when the
Right.
story's right.
Yeah.
Also, they are filming Andor season 2, and Genevieve O'Reilly said it's going to be darker and grittier than season 1.
Great. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So, so maybe more fascists will get hit in the head with more bricks.
Oh god. Yeah.
Marva Andor is the MVP of that last episode of Andor.
Yes.
Literal brick thrown at a guy. So let's actually talk Mando now, and because we have 2 episodes to discuss. We're going to talk about Guns for Hire, aka Cameo Fest
Oh
2023.
god.
And then we're going to talk about The Spies. which I think we all have the same theory of who the other spy is.
Pretty much.
A
Yeah.
lot of us on Twitter have the same theory that it is who I said it was. Amanda also said Marva Marva and or she said fuck the Empire. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What were you saying? Is Pickle freaking out? Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, so let's talk about Guns for Hire. So this episode has Din Djarin and Bo-Katan going to the Outer Rim to get uh, the Mandalorians that broke off from Bo-Katan after she lost the Darksaber to get them back to retake Mandalore. And well, let's talk about the beginning here and how we have a Quarren and a Mon Cala Romeo Juliet love story.
It was so random. It was
It was
so
very random.
random.
Yeah. And you know what? Like the episode's written by Favreau, but like he doesn't lay any breadcrumbs whatsoever to like get to this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So thoughts on the love story.
Um, honestly, the main reason I say it's random is not only because it's random, but I was like, okay, so is this what the episode is about? Like, are we trying to fix this relationship and get them back together? But it was not about that. Um, so, I don't know. It's interesting. It's sad that love in Star Wars continues to be tragedy, I guess. I don't know really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It was. I will say this. She had a pretty badass captain's chair.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And the fish feeding in the beginning was really funny, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, and then we see Axe Wolves and the rest of the Night Owls
Mhm.
that are on the stolen Imperial cruiser, and they recapture this Mon Cala prince, and or they take him away
Yeah.
and try to return him to Mon Cala. So anyway, back to then we get Din and Bo that are going to find them. They arrive on this planet, which is pretty much if Epcot was in the Outer Rim.
Yeah, I can see it.
I was sitting there and I was like, this either is going to be Epcot or it's going to be like the Carousel Progress where they're going to sing that song.
Oh god.
Um, anyway, they try to land where the fleet is, but then they're directed to the main spaceport, and then they are directed to meet with the two leaders of this planet. Did anyone think it was the worst episode this season? It was by far the weakest episode of the
Yeah.
season. Yeah. It felt like a filler episode, but they do that a lot before the finale.
Mhm.
If you've noticed it, in the past couple of seasons they have done like those more silly episodes before we've gotten to like the final two of the season. So um anyway, they meet with King Bowser and Lizzo.
I knew you were gonna do that. Oh my god.
Huh?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Lizzo should have been playing the flute. Yeah. um, so at first I kind of rolled my eyes when I heard Jack Black laughing and I heard his voice. And then, like, the further we got into the episode, they grew on me because
Yeah,
they weren't in it a lot.
right.
Yeah. Okay, Cameo Fest 2023. Jack Black and Lizzo, go. Your
Oh, you want
thoughts?
my opinion
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it?
yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, um, I like you said, I feel like it's fair to like call it like cameo fest or whatever, but I for me like because of how like you said how like little they're in the episode, I feel like it worked better. Whereas if like they were in the episode the whole time, I'd feel like, oh my god, it's just all about the like these two people being in the episode.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I found them really fun and really
Hmm.
goofy. And honestly, like I know a lot of people say, "Oh, this episode's too goofy. It's too tonally out of there." It gave me a lot of like Star Wars prequels feels and like just
Yes.
goofy, even like goofy like resistance kind of feels, and it
Hmm.
made me happy. Like I honestly liked getting a little lighthearted thing, especially like you said before we get to the grittier end of the season, which
Yeah.
I rewatched it again today, and it is very dark, and so
Hmm.
I appreciated getting like a little light kind of
Hmm.
fun mystery kind of adventure, and I felt like they really added to that. Like they
Yeah.
were goofy and fun, and like sure they're celebrities or whatever, but like they made it fun. They weren't just there to be there. Like I found their presence to make the episode like more fun and
Hmm.
goofy. So
And I love when Star Wars is gritty. I love when Star Wars is dark, but I love when Star Wars is silly and fun, like
exactly
Resistance and
right,
the prequels. And keep in mind, a lot of early Clone Wars and Rebels episodes were very
exactly
silly.
right, yeah,
There's the one where there's a Clone Wars episode where 3PO and R2 go to the droid spa on Coruscant.
yes, exactly.
Didn't need to be done, but it happened.
Mhm.
Like, and we had an episode about it. So I don't want to hear it, you know? Um, but we find out that this is a society that has had free and fair democratic elections for a while.
Mhm.
And we also find out that they have a droid problem
Mhm.
with malfunctioning droids. And then that's when we get to our other cameo in the episode. Doc Brown has traveled from Hill Valley to a galaxy far, far away. Hey, Blue Milk Mama, we were actually just talking about you just a little bit ago, actually, about the celebration coverage and how you woke up early. Um, but yes, Doc Brown has traveled from Hill Valley to a galaxy far, far away, and he may or may not be a separatist sympathizer.
May or may not. I think you. Yeah.
But before we get to that, we do have a film noir style investigation where they are trying to track down these droids that are malfunctioning. I'll have to go back and listen. Yeah. Well, we were talking about okay, real quick side note. We'll go back and then we'll head to the Mandalorian. We were actually talking about how we like would wake up early for these streams and everything, and how you woke up early for the live streams from Europe. Or, but we were also talking about how like the live streams from Japan are going to kill us time wise. That's what we were saying. Um, Anyway, so Din Djarin starts kicking a few droids to see which one's going to malfunction. A battle droid ends up malfunctioning, and there's a chase, and they stop the droid Blade Runner style. Like I got a lot of Blade Runner vibes from like that chase
Mhm.
sequence. And then we see we see the droid in the morgue.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's a goofy episode, but there's some like darker undertones and stuff like to this episode. Like the droids are worried about their friggin' extinction. Like that's kind of dark, honestly. So
Yes. Yes. We also see a droid bar, which that was
Mhm.
amazing.
Oh, that was so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And plus that like teal protocol droid was gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah. Blue Milk Mama says 5 a.m. Yes, but I will get up for the High Republic. Woot Japan.
Yeah.
I love that scene. Yes, the droid bar scene is so cool, and it's very different to see like droids having off hours and
Mhm.
drinks.
Yeah, right.
Mhm. Uh, No, I did not hear the story behind that protocol droid. Oh no, yeah, he was made by droid builders. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really cool. So,
Mhm.
we also had Din and Bo playing good cop, bad cop, with Din playing the bad cop.
Right.
Meanwhile, while that's going on, the Duchess and Captain Bombardier are using Grogu to pretty much play polo or croquet.
Yeah. This stuff is there.
Which I got to tell you, I am liking that Grogu has taken more of a back seat to a lot of
Right.
what's
Like,
going
that's what I
on.
mean. Like, it was there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we find out that there's this drink called Nepenthe, which is, or it's this oil called Nepenthe, which reinforces all droid programming. And then, oh, that's cool. Steven said the droid builder was a friend of Chris Bartlett, main protocol actor for Lucasfilm, and he was working on the droid and passed from cancer.
Huh.
That's a really nice tribute to that person. That's a really nice tribute.
Oh.
Um,
Mhm.
so so Bartlett finished it and canonized it. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. So the Nepenthe has these we find out that this batch of Nepenthe actually has these nanobots that were causing the droids to go haywire because they had like this sub programming too, and it all comes back to Doc Brown, who decides in his confrontation we find out that he's a separatist sympathizer, and he says
Mhm.
separatist is a pejorative term. um he believes in democracy, and he believes that Count Dooku was actually cut down in his prime. So let's talk about this real quick with his thinking, because this is the first time in a long time where we've actually seen somebody who's been a separatist sympathizer in Star Wars.
Mm. Mm.
Um, your thoughts on his views, and was Count Dooku cut down in his prime?
uh, I think it's been super interesting when like Star Wars has been touching on this lately, because like we did get a little bit of it in like Bad Batch, in like
Hmm.
the first few episodes, and like we also got some of it even in like Rebels with like the droids part of it, and it's like I always find it interesting when they like touch on this again, where it's like it's not just, oh, it's not just remnants of the empire out there, but there's remnants of like even these before times with like the separatists and stuff, and like how they're even still clinging to their ideology and like way of doing things, and like again just like kind of similar to like how they defended it in Bad Batch and in Rebels. It's like because like look at what's happened all around, and clearly Count Dooku, our way of doing things, democracy was like is like the way to go and the secure way to go.
Yeah.
As for Count Dooku being in his prime, I kind of have to disagree on that. Just yeah, no. No.
His prime. His prime. Um, Dooku's prime was when he killed Yaddle. That was his prime.
Yeah.
In a great arc in the Clone Wars, you kind of realize the Separatists were right. Yeah, but that was the
Exactly.
beauty of that
Right.
storytelling in that show.
Yeah.
Um, so he gets he gets banished after being tased, which I thought was great, because how were they going to shut him up? They tased him.
Yeah.
Um, that's a long time to hold separatist ideology. It is, but
Yeah.
I really feel like the Duchess's family were part of that separatist movement, though, because they
Exactly.
kind of allude to it just a
Yeah.
little bit. Um,
Yeah, and like I said, when like the stuff is continuing to crumble all around you, sometimes holding on to like that ideology of like the past and that belief, especially when it hasn't worked out, like you can
Mhm.
cling even harder to it because you still want to believe that that's like the key to like in his eyes that was the key to fixing things and to running things more efficiently. So
Yeah.
yeah, people cling to their ideologies for a long time.
Yes, yes, they do for a long time.
Mhm.
So yeah, then he gets banished to live on a moon,
Yeah.
and
And
then um Din and Bo get the key to the city.
the weird part for me though was the freaking knighting of
Yeah. If you haven't seen the episode yet, Grogu gets knighted, which
not Jedi knighted,
made
just knighted. Like what? And they still threw in
made
like the
no
typical like
sense.
knighting music and everything, and I'm just
Oh yeah.
like Jedi knighting. Like it was giving me like Kanan getting knighted vibes. I'm like, is this your way of doing it? Because the Jedi aren't there to knight him. Like, what is going on?
The knighting
I don't
was
know.
funny. The knighting was very funny
It was. It was random.
because it came out of nowhere. Came out of
Exactly.
nowhere. I mean, even the key to the city came out of nowhere. And who the hell is holding on to that big key?
Nobody. I bet you money's still on Navarro somewhere. No, I'm joking.
It
If they
is.
even
It
brought it
is.
to Navarro,
No,
like,
no, they threw it in a storage bin in the gauntlet.
right? Like, yes. Here we go. That's
It's actually going to go towards vibro blade making.
true. The armorer
Yeah.
probably found some use for it.
Sir, Sir Grogu.
Oh God, no. No,
Sir Grogu of the Frog Round Table. It
no.
made
Okay.
no sense. It made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
He
right.
helps them cheat at a game, and he gets knighted. He's adorable, but he doesn't need to be knighted. Just saying. Eat those eggs. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and we did
Maybe it's
see
just the
another
way
frog
that we're
lady.
I don't even know. What?
Yeah. We did see
I
two
don't
frog people there
yeah.
in the banquet. Anyway, so anyway, Din and Bo and Grogu go to the Mandalorian camp, and that's when we have the showdown between Bo-Katan and Axe Wolves, or Woves, whatever, for the
Whatever.
control, yeah, for the control of the group, and which that is a pretty badass fight.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Um, jetpacks are used, string is used,
Yes.
fists flying, blades, you
All the
know,
things.
I say like some of the fights in Star Wars are like mashing two action figures together. That's literally what this was just mashing two action figures together for about 5
Mm,
minutes. Not
yeah.
even that really. Um, and then after Axe yields, he talks about how Bo's leadership has been compromised because she no longer has the dark saber, and then we get a loophole. Bo ends up getting the dark saber because Din lost it to the mech monster on Mandalore, and since she defeated the person that defeated him, or the being that defeated him, she's actually entitled to the dark saber. And which I said, well, why the hell didn't you give it to her in the first place, you idiot?
Right? Right? Like he has no care for it. He even says that in the next episode. Like
Yeah.
okay.
Look,
Um
it's yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It felt very abrupt and weird, and like while it follows their more traditional rules, to me, I honestly liked the one before with Sabine and Bo-Katan because at least I felt it was like more built up to than this was. Because this just felt
Yes.
so abrupt. It's so weird.
It
Oh yeah.
really is weird.
Yeah.
Not thrilled with the loophole. He was waiting for the best moment. Yeah, not thrilled with the loophole, but I think they wrote themselves into a corner. Plus, I don't hate it. They
Right.
needed a way out. Yeah, that's true. They did need a way out with it
Right.
because a lot of us were like, well, when is it going to be Bo's again?
Right.
And now we see that it is hers. Um, and that's how that episode ends, with them getting ready to leave the planet to go to Navarro. Honestly, I wanted to see Din and Bo fight each other. I wanted to see that too. Like I wanted to see them fight for Bo to get the blade, but I get why they went that route because yeah, they did write themselves into a corner with it.
Well, like, because the issue is, even if they still have their like little spree combat moments, Bo's really trying to push for this whole like unification stuff. And
Hmm.
because they're pushing for that more now, it writes, like you said, it writes them into the corner of like, oh, we have to give it more unified. But the issue was instead of unified the way they did with like the reasoning between leadership and Bo and Sabine, this time they said, oh no, it was still combat wise, but it was like a handoff through a different combat situation that didn't even involve the two parties. Like, which made it a lot more weird and strange and like
Yeah.
no.
I mean, and chat's actually bringing up some really good points here. Din and Bo did need to be on the same side, absolutely. And the
Exactly, we're
wielder,
right, but
yeah.
it, the issue is that we've seen, like, what I'm trying to get across is we've seen ways where two characters have been on the same side and have exchanged the dark saber, and it still felt like it's been more built up to, and there's been more
Hmm.
reasoning behind the exchange than just, oh, you defeated like a droid or a mech or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just stand by, because like I know a lot of people say like the Sabine Bo-Katan stuff was not the traditional rules, and sure, it wasn't the traditional rules,
Hmm.
but it was still very much built up to, and there's a lot of reasoning given behind why she chose to accept the saber and why the saber was given to her in that moment. And that's what I'm trying to say is like, yes, there's a way to have them on the same side while still, I feel like, making the exchange have more weight to it. I feel
Hmm.
like.
And Stephen even brings up some points here. The wielder of the sword has to believe that they are worthy of it, which
Exactly.
is true,
Yeah.
which is very true.
Yeah.
And then because even though Din winning it, he wasn't able to wield it exactly. And we
Right.
saw him struggle with that in the Book of Boba Fett, and we saw
Right.
him even struggle with that with taking out the one droid in the droid morgue that
Exactly.
that went haywire. And you're right, Amanda. They could have fought and still been on the same side at the very end. And the exchange would have been like, to me, like if they would have fought, like it to me, like I'm thinking about like that the fight between Natasha and Clint in Civil War, how
Oh
like they were
yeah.
pulling their punches. They still looked like they were fighting, but they were pulling their punches.
Right. Yeah.
That to me is like, I think that would have been that fight. Like they're just pulling their punches. Um And so, like, I look at the dark saber. So, like, I'm gonna go on a quick tangent here, but it to me, the dark saber feels like this old wrestling championship belt that they had like in the 90s and 2000s. It was the anytime championship belt where whoever had it could be pinned at any time and lose the belt so somebody else could pick it up. And that to me is like the dark saber. It's like, hey, you can defeat this person and then you get the championship essentially. Like like it has meaning, but at the same time it has no meaning because it's just a symbol in,
Mhm.
of that person's power,
Mhm.
I guess. Because like that that brings us to this next episode where Bo starts to question why she has the saber, like you were saying, and Din just goes, I don't give a crap about the saber. I give a crap about you leading us.
Right.
Um
And they
so
even say that to Sabine at first in Rebels. When Sabine's
yeah.
originally reluctant to take the saber, Hera and Fen are like, the saber still is like a symbol to your people, whether you want to hold it or not. Like, they still, like, they see it as the symbol and the thing to follow. Like, so
Yeah.
it's very much a symbol. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and so let's actually move on to the spies here. This was definitely a darker episode,
Yeah, very much,
very much.
very much.
And starts off on a very interesting note. Um, which we called Elia Kane being the bad guy.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
we called that.
yeah.
So it opens with Elia Kane going through these back alleys on Coruscant, which that was beautifully shot, by the way. And then she meets with a probe droid who then. And how the hell was that probe droid allowed to be on Coruscant for that long without the
Right,
New Republic detecting them?
right. Yeah, yeah.
Like, where the hell did that probe droid come from?
Who really knows, honestly? Plot convenience. That's where it came from.
Really? How shall we have Elia Kane communicate with Gideon? Oh, I know. Probe droid.
Because it looks cool.
It looks cool. We're
Right.
gonna have it come out of the fog.
Okay. Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing. And how the hell didn't the New Republic intercept that transmission either?
I know, it's so weird. They've just completely just forgotten all of these rules they set up about the texting stuff.
Yeah. I love it. Blue Milk Mama. I love the probe droids, so I tried not to think about it too much.
Exactly, right? That's what I'm saying. It looks cool. So we
Yeah.
ignore why it's not I don't even know. Whatever.
And Steven, you have a point too, where the New Republic is too busy decommissioning ships. That is true. That is true. However, so let's move on from that scandalous thing. So Elia Kane and Moff Gideon have this conversation about all of the stuff that happened on Navarro with the Mandalorians and how they are now going to try to take back their home world. In which Gideon says, just leave it to me. And then Gideon cuts off the transmission and walks down this hallway that reminded me of the Phantom Menace quite a bit with those energy shields.
Yeah.
And then he meets with the Shadow Council.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a cool scene. It was such a cool scene.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yes. In which we get to see Pelion, who is Thrawn's
Yay.
right-hand man.
He survived. His fate was very up in the air after Rebels. Yeah.
Was Pelion in Rebels?
Yeah. So during the Purgle scene, he's talking to Pelion, and then you just hear Pelion scream, and then it's
That's right. That's
we
right.
didn't know if the Purgle took him or murdered him. So
the Purgle's just the Purgle just dropped him off.
Yeah, somewhere random. He just went on a little trip with the Purgle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we hear Pelion talking about Thrawn's return, and this to me was the interesting part because Gideon starts questioning whether or not Thrawn is actually coming back. Are we going to see a fight between Gideon and Thrawn?
I mean, maybe?
Because the way he's acting with this whole Thrawn thing, Thrawn is threatening his power.
Right.
And he's essentially threatening Thrawn's power. I mean, but I don't think so. I think Bo-Katan's actually going to kill Gideon. Yeah, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So also during this, we hear mention of the Praetorian Guards from the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And we get Armitage Hux's dad,
Pretzel
Hux.
Yes.
Played by Donald Gleason's brother.
What are they? great. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so Hux is there, and apparently Hux is heading up a project called Project Necromancer.
Hmm.
Could this be part of the cloning research to bring back a certain dead emperor?
Maybe.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Or is Project Necromancer the resurgence of the Empire through the First Order?
They're kind of intertwined in a way, but well, actually, no, they're not. That's a lie. Dude, trust still confuses me to this day. Um, no,
Ooh,
uh,
that is a great point or a great theory. Sarah is calling Hux is a clone and not his son.
oh,
It would
interesting.
actually make sense considering how he was interested in Pershing's research.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, where was Ray Sloan? She should have been in there.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people could have been there. I don't know.
Oh
It's
no,
just
wait.
wait.
She went out into the unknown regions after. But no, she was
I don't
no,
know.
she built the first order
Well,
out in the
see, that's
unknown
the thing.
regions.
Like, how much is this the First Order versus like the Empire side of it?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm saying Tross is confusing as like which side are we talking about more right now? Like, oh god.
I love that we're gearing up to the sequel trilogy, but I love that we're even more confused about the
I'm
sequel trilogy right now.
right. I'm like, which side of this are we talking? Oh god.
Like, yeah, we're on our way to the Force Awakens. How the hell are we gonna get there?
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so that was a really interesting scene. Then we cut back to Navarro, and we have the Imperial ship, or not the Imperial ship, the Mandalorian ship, uh, going to where the other Mandalorians have set up their base camp.
Mhm.
And that's a great exchange between Grief Karga and his droid. And then they all show up, and the armorer says, let's prepare a feast and everything. And then Grief Karga shows up at the Mandalorian settlement with a bottle of wine from Coruscant that's just for Din Djarin. Um,
Yeah.
in which Din says, "Yeah, we gotta keep this away from everybody."
Right.
Um, and then we get to the best comedic bit that we've gotten this season with IG-11 is back, but he's IG-12, and now he's a Gundam
Uh,
or a mech suit now.
yeah, kind of something. A very advanced baby carrier.
Very advanced baby carrier. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Steven says, "I think it's tequila." I think you might be right.
Right. It's something on alcohol. Like, yeah.
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 Um. So we, we have Grief Karga put Grogu in this mech suit, and it
Mhm.
has a yes no button.
Of course.
And which Did keeps telling Grogu to get out, and Grogu keeps pressing the no button,
No.
and then he keeps running around the office hitting the yes button.
Oh my god.
But the best bit comes right after that when they're walking through the
Right.
marketplace and
Yes.
Grogu stops, grabs the thing of like, I guess it's like outpost mix or whatever, and starts eating it. And then Din's like, no, you have to pay for that. Like he pays the stall guy. And then Grogu picks up a Meiluron with the mech suit and holds it above his head while Din Djarin is trying to get it back, and he keeps saying "give it back," and Grogu keeps hitting the no button.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah,
Mix of baby and angsty teenager at the same. No, I think Din is not happy with Grief Karga now because this thing is a medicine. Oh yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's really really funny,
Yeah.
and you kind of need it before we get into the meat of this episode.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. So
Yes.
the Mandalorians leave Navarro with their fleet to go to try to take back Mandalore, and Bo-Katan leads a landing party with Din Djarin, Grogu, Paz Vizsla, Axe Wolves. God, what
Koska
is who?
Koska Reeves. Costco Reeves.
Yes, yes,
However the frick
Casca
you say
Reeves.
her
Yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking about her. I was like the one person that's
The
always with
workers.
them. Yeah. And then the armorer is there too,
Of
with a
course.
few other Mandalorians. And when they land and set up kind of like a base camp, and as they start walking to go or try to find the Great Forge, they run into these nomad Mandalorians,
Mhm.
led by one of the admirals from Top Gun Maverick, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, and they have like a little hovercraft, little
Ship
skiff.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was pretty cool. And so they're like, using that to travel to the forge, but before they travel to the forge, we find out that they've taken some casualties and these people need medical attention. So the armorer leaves with the casualties to go back to the fleet. We're getting there. We're getting there, Allie. We're getting there. So they start making their way to the forge, and then their ship gets attacked by Godzilla, essentially.
Essentially. Yeah.
Essentially. And then they end up in the area of the Great Forge where they are ambushed by stormtroopers wearing Beskar armor.
Super Commandos, I'm assuming? Yes.
Yes, yeah, they're yeah. I I want to think they're kind of like the prototype Dark Trooper.
True. It's just like
Again,
they were like wearing like the white armor, which is why I thought they were like Super Commandos, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So the ambush occurs, and the Mandalorians end up winning that fight, but they end up chasing the remaining troopers into, oh, look, an Imperial base that's been on Mandalore this whole time.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. The armor was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then they're ambushed by more of these troopers, and oh, look, Moff Gideon's there, and he's wearing Mandalorian armor. And Din Djarin is captured and is taken to the debriefing room.
The debriefing. I wonder what he'll debrief. Oh, sorry. Not a cell. The debriefing room.
Torture.
Gotta treat him right by taking just the debriefing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've done your service to the Empire well. It's great. So, we have the Mandalorians start to fight their way out, and then Paz Vizsla stays behind
No.
to
No.
to cover their escape, and pretty much wipes the floor with those commandos.
Yeah.
Gets his gun destroyed, and then as he's taking a moment to survey his carnage, the Praetorian Guard show up and end up taking our boy Paz Vizsla out.
No.
I know.
I didn't like it. I mean,
I
it's
didn't
cool,
either.
but God, why?
I know.
Yeah.
And then that's how the episode ends.
Mhm.
So let's talk about. So we saw the one spy who's Elia Kane.
Yes.
And we all
We all
kind of
knew.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know.
Yeah.
Second spy is the armor. It's got to be the armor.
It I will be shocked if it's not, honestly.
Yeah. Um,
Mm,
because I can't see it being Bo-Katan.
no. No.
And I can't see it being Axe Woves, even though he's kind of an asshole.
Right.
And I can't see it being Cosca Reeves either.
Right. I mean, the one thing that gives Koska credit is because people pointed out how they were just conveniently on that planet where Din was in season 2, but like I you know, I don't know. I just don't want any of them to be it. The armor I've seen is sus since day one, so
Yeah.
it would make me feel more valid if it was.
Well, and here's the thing too, like, so the armor volunteers to
Exactly,
take
right? The armor's
them
done
back to
shitty things too. Thank you. Yes.
the armor volunteers to take the wounded back to the fleet.
Mhm.
And part of me is thinking, well, didn't you want to see the Great Forge since you
Right?
are the armorer?
Right? That was
The
what
armorer?
I was like, "Armor's gonna miss out on this? Okay."
Yeah. And I'm thinking, why is she going back to the fleet?
Right.
Because they could have sent Din and Grogu back.
Or, like, literally anyone else. Literally
Yeah.
anyone. Right.
And like if you're gonna send a main character back, like send Din and Grogu back. Like you know, like send them back.
Yeah, don't put the
Um
baby in the mortal
yeah,
danger. Right.
exactly. Which Grogu did escape, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I believe she could be, but it's too obvious.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it's obvious, but, like, has this show been very good at subtlety before? I'm
that's
joking.
what we
It
were just
has
talking about.
sometimes. It has
Yeah.
sometimes, but
I mean, sometimes they have just been like, yeah, it's this person. We set it up
right,
to be this person,
right,
and yeah, you were right following those clues. But you're right. It could just be a red herring too, and it could
right.
be somebody that we never thought of.
Mhm.
But like,
Yeah.
it
I just feel
definitely, huh?
the armor has been, like, pulling just so many not
Grogu.
necessarily strings lately, but, like, just had so much say in, like, where things are going and getting the approval of, like, what the next step will be and, like,
Yeah.
and I feel like it would be devastating for Bo because I feel like Bo's starting to, like, look up to her in a kind of
Mhm.
way or feel respected by her, and I don't know, I'm just,
And then part of me
mm,
thinks, well, she wouldn't have made it such a big deal of Bo-Katan like removing her helmet and like
right,
teaching her about walking both worlds and like
right,
both paths if she actually like didn't believe in like the cause.
right.
So
And
like,
also, like, there's just so many little clues. Like another thing is she was like one of the only like she was just safe on Navarro like in season 1. Like she was just
yeah.
there. Like the Empire didn't freaking destroy her. So and there's like other things like related to her past and like
Mhm.
why she broke off from and made this collective cult and like
Yeah.
there's little pieces why. So like it's kind of like you said, like sometimes the show builds something up to be obvious, but it's because you find all those clues and bits and pieces that go into why that is the case. So,
Yeah. Well, and also my wife actually just brought up a good point where it's like kind of anticlimactic to call it the spies and only show one spy.
right? Exactly. Right. It's
And
someone
like,
in this episode. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like part of me thinks it might be the leader of the nomad Mandalorians, considering that they've been on that planet for a long time.
No. Hmm. Because I just they
But
seem
the
more like more just because like I don't know. The armor just like I suss her out because of just the ways she's broken away from certain things and the way she's just I don't know. I don't
if
know. Also, she has freaking horns on her helmet.
she does, and Moff Gideon now has horns on his helmet too.
Like every bad Gar Saxon had horns on his helmet.
Yep.
Like I know
Yeah.
this because he worked with Maul, but like whatever.
But like part of me also like thinks about it like the nomad Mandalorians kind of remind me of when we meet the clones again in Rebels.
Mm.
when they're
Right.
like on the walker and like they're trying to get the sandfish and everything, and then
Yeah.
like one of them betrays them by like
Right.
calling the Empire. I kind of got that vibe, but like my money is on the armorer. I'm
Yeah.
probably going to eat that at some point, but that's just how I feel about it.
Like, they do willingly take them to the forge, but no one really seemed to know that this Empire outpost exists. It's so hard. Like, I don't want it to be them. I want it to not be them, but like that, I don't know.
My wife
Uh,
thought it was actually Paz Vizsla,
oh
and I
God,
was
no.
like, but he
No,
wouldn't sacrifice himself like that.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Like they all put themselves in this vulnerable situation except for the armorer. She
Hmm.
was the one who bailed. So.
Yeah, my wife's saying it's Grogu.
No,
It's
well, I've seen
Grogu.
theories about that online, and I'm like, there's no way Disney would do that. They would not make the
Yes.
spy baby
Yes.
Yoda.
Yes.
They would
Yes.
not do that.
Moff Gideon just calls them. Are the Mandalorians in position? Yes. Do they know what's coming? No. So let me ask you this question. Um Mecha Grogu kicking ass. That's going to happen this week, right?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
I
Because now we
hope
actually got the reverse. Because remember a few weeks ago, I'm like, I swear if they capture Grogu again, I will throw my laptop against the wall. Now, well, I guess they got Din this time. So I guess it is something different.
the writers were listening to you. Just
They
you.
they still went with a capturing plot because apparently that's all they want to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Star Wars is always about a capture plot.
I know, right? But
If it's not Leia, it's what are you trying to
right,
eat?
right. Yeah, no, Grogu is about to unleash on these
Oh yeah.
people.
I really hope they give him guns.
Oh my god. Oh no.
I really hope they give him guns. I think it'd be great.
Mhm.
But then again, like I think it'd be too silly for the episode.
Right. But I feel like he's the only levity at this point, like the only because like you said about this episode, like he was the joke in this he was the joke. um so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So we have Gideon about to attack the Mandalorian fleet, and we
Mhm.
have Din Djarin in the debriefing room. Uh, pick all. Sorry, my cat's trying to climb the screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh, anyway, so we have that going on, and that leads us to our season finale, which is
Mm,
this Wednesday, and probably is going to emotionally wreck us like previous season finales have.
right.
Um, yes, Star Wars likes to emotionally wreck us in final episodes.
Yes.
Um, so my question here is, how are they going to emotionally wreck us this time? Are we
I don't
actually
know
going
because I
go?
think the quote was like, "You asked for more, so you're getting more. You're about to be like emotionally destroyed." There was some quote like that came out this week, and I was like, "Ask for more. What did we ask for?" And so my brain's like, "What did we ask more for? What did we ask for?" Because that's really what's going to destroy us.
So my question here is, could we see the death of Din Djarin in this episode?
No, no,
No.
no,
Okay.
no, no.
I'm
Because
just trying to figure it out.
because they said at Celebration he's not going to be a main character anymore. They didn't say he's not going to be in the show.
Yeah.
I feel like they wouldn't say that at Celebration if they were
Yeah.
planning to kill him off.
And you're right, honey. Everybody loves Daddy Pedro right now.
Right? Right?
Yeah, I get it. He is the best dad, and he just wants hearing your wife scream no. Yes. They
No,
just kill him
so is
off.
that why they said you've been asking for more, so you're gonna get more, it'll emotionally destroy you? Because we've been asking for more Din, so they're just gonna freaking give us more and like
It's going to be a
no,
very din heavy
no.
episode until pew
It's like
pew.
when I asked for more for the Bad Batch, they gave me more tech and then they killed tech off. So you know, it's fine.
But I will say this, and we talked about this before. I do love the shift in focus on the main character
Yeah.
of the show. It's no longer Din Djarin's show. This is Bo-Katan's show. Um, or just the Mandalorian show in general,
Right.
because like we're
It's
focused.
everyone's show at this point.
Yeah. Um, do I miss the old bounty hunting stuff? I do. I,
Yeah.
I do. But I love where they're going with trying to take back Mandalore.
Mhm.
And it's about damn time we had this story.
Right.
We know that this season's probably going to end on a cliffhanger.
Mhm.
And we'll probably get the resolution of the taking back of Mandalore probably next season.
Mhm. My
I'm
question
thinking.
is how much they will interweave with Ahsoka. Is like, will I see a Rebels character in this finale? Will I? Maybe Sabine. Maybe no. I'm just kidding. Not Sabine. Probably not Sabine. No. But I just because they did that with Book of Boba. You know,
Yeah.
Boba came in and then he had a show after 2. So like
Hmm. Well, he had half of a show.
half of a show. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Right.
He had half
Right.
of a show.
Right. Yeah.
Um, if they bring in any Rebels character, they should bring Zeb back again.
Oh my god, yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sabine's still chilling in Lothal.
Also, where's his husband?
Right? Thank you. Exactly. Right? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Where is his husband?
Right. Show
Yes.
Star
Yeah.
Wars. Do it.
Yeah. Show us. Show us. And I mean, we could also get Hera too,
Mhm.
but I could see Zeb being more involved in the finale, especially like if the New Republic comes in and saves the day. Because
Mhm.
I can see like Zeb and Carson Teva being involved.
Yeah.
Not really Hera Syndulla. Which also, okay, let me ask you this question about Ahsoka. We're gonna see Hera, we're gonna see Chopper. Jason Syndulla, are we gonna see him?
Uh I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I don't know. It's hard because like I like Jason. I'm not a Jason hater like all those Jason haters, but like even the creators who made Jason were kind of like, why did we do that? So it's like, will he be there? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's like I don't
Inquiring
know.
minds want to know.
Inquiring minds. Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
like, no, just keep. I don't want to see Hera's child die or be in danger, so let's actually keep him as far away from it as possible, please. Like,
Keep
Hera
him
doesn't
on
need to lose
Lothal.
someone else. She doesn't need to lose her last reminder of like Kanan. No, just no,
Yeah.
please,
Yeah.
no.
Keep him on Lothal.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, jeez, I just wanted to ask that question. But yeah, if we see any Rebels character, I think Zeb is the more natural
Yeah,
character to
right,
see in this
right.
show.
Yeah.
Um, because you might want to get him. Sorry. Because it just makes sense. He was in that one episode, and he looked great, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. My cat just almost missed his cat tree. It was amazing. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by my cat tonight. Any other thoughts on these two episodes? There's Pickle. He's just like
Oh no.
he does not want any of it. He
No.
does not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on these two episodes before we get to the finale?
I guess like I will say that I do appreciate like even though we've talked about how like this isn't just in show anymore, I do appreciate how he has still had like say in action. Like in that
Hmm.
first episode we talked about, he was a big communicator in that episode, like with his past with Queel and stuff, and like communicating with
Yeah.
Ugnaught, and like all that stuff. And he was really helping Bo-Katan get through that episode. And then even
Yeah.
in this episode, he's talking to Bo-Katan and helping motivate her. So I'm just glad he's not completely been sidelined, like 100%.
Hmm.
So I just want to say that, I guess, because do I miss like more focus on Dan? Yeah, of course. But like I am still glad that his character is still getting things to do in this show. So it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It'll be interesting to see like where they go with him moving forward,
Right.
especially with less of a focus on him and more of a focus on the Mandalorian people. But yeah, he is still a prominent character, but he just wants what's best for his kid by forcing his kid to play in paintball tournaments
My question is, a lot
with
of people have
younglings.
been theorizing that he's going to get mind flared next episode. What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, mind flared. I hope not.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, yeah, no,
I hope
no,
not.
please no, please no.
Like, don't give him a lobotomy. Like, don't give him a space lobotomy.
No,
Um,
no, no.
because I just think like the debriefing room is just a torture chamber, really.
Right? Yeah.
Like I think they're just gonna torture him like Vader did to Han Solo and did to like Leia and all those characters, you know.
Right.
Um I hope he doesn't get mind flared because I think that would
Me
be
too.
stupid. And it's just like, well, what do we do to Din Djarin? Well, let's throw something out the wall and see what sticks.
Right. This is
Mind
reasonable.
flare
Very
stick.
reasonable.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, then we're gonna do that. So I don't know. I don't know what.
I don't
That's
know.
like the worst part about waiting week to week is like you
Right?
don't know what's gonna happen.
It also kills me. I got reminded today that everyone who's at Celebration got to watch this episode together, and I wanted to
Hmm.
cry because this would have been so cool to watch with like hundreds of other people. It makes me depressed.
I know
But
the FOMO was definitely real. The
FOMO is
FOMO was
real.
definitely real. Now, I will say this about that. I'm glad that you actually brought that up. Nobody posted spoilers for this
Yes,
episode
applause to them. I'm so
out
happy.
of like when they saw it at Celebration, and that made me so happy.
Same.
Like people actually like respected that not everybody was going to be able to see this episode right away.
Right. Right.
And that to me was really nice. Like they even showed the the first two episodes of like Young Jedi Adventures, and
Mhm.
nobody even talked about that either
Right.
because like they just want people to watch it, which
Yeah.
I think is great. Now book readers on the other hand were able to pick up Path of Vengeance, and some of them are already starting to spoil that book.
Yikes! That's great. Great. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
The torture rooms have been more terrifying than in the originals. That is true.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to reiterate this again. If you picked up Path of Vengeance at Celebration, don't spoil the book. Please
Exactly.
don't
Right.
spoil the book.
Right.
We've got less than a month left. Don't spoil it. Just keep your thoughts to yourself on social media. If you want to message your friends that read the book, go ahead, talk to them,
Right.
but don't post spoilers, please. Also, there's a game coming out in less than 2 weeks. Jedi Survivor. Don't spoil that game, please. Don't
Right.
spoil that game.
Yeah.
Um, we were talking spoilers. I just had to bring those up.
That's fair. Yeah.
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 So yeah, that's it for us this week. Like I said, kind of short show. But it was fun. It was more about Mando than Celebration, honestly, because Celebration tired me out.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. So that's gonna be it. Allie, anything to add before we sign off?
Not at this moment, no. Thank you so much for having me on again. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like the game's already out with all the stuff you're seeing. Yeah, it feels like that. It really does
Right.
feel that way. But it's coming. It's coming, and it's gonna
Unfortunately.
be amazing. Yeah, so that's going to be it for us this week. We will be back next week for another live show. It will be our season finale recap as well as our roundtable, just talking about the season in general. And then after that, we're shifting focus back to the High Republic, and that's going to be our bread and butter for a long time. So get ready for that. Until then, I hope that you all have a wonderful week. May the force be with you. May you always fight for light and life. And remember, at the end of the day, we are all the Republic. Bye.